Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, adopted by General Assembly Resolution 61-106 of December 13, 2006. Article 27. Labor and Employment. 1. States parties recognize the right of persons with disabilities to work on an equal basis with others. It includes the right to be able to earn a living by work that the disabled person freely chose or freely agreed to, in conditions where the labor market and the working environment are open, inclusive and accessible to persons with disabilities. States parties shall ensure and promote the realization of the right to work, including by those persons who acquire disabilities during their employment, by taking appropriate measures, including through legislation, aimed, inter alia, at the following. A. Prohibition of discrimination on the basis of disability in respect of all matters concerning all forms of employment, including conditions of employment, hiring and employment, job retention, promotion and safe and healthy working conditions. B. Protection of the rights of persons with disabilities on an equal basis with others to fair and favorable working conditions, including equal opportunities and equal remuneration for work of equal value, safe and healthy working conditions, including protection from harassment, and satisfaction of complaints. C. Ensuring that persons with disabilities can exercise their labor and trade union rights on an equal basis with others. D. Enabling persons with disabilities to have effective access to general technical and vocational guidance programs, employment services and vocational and continuing education. E. Expanding opportunities in the labor market for the employment of persons with disabilities and their promotion, as well as assistance in finding, obtaining, retaining and resuming work. F. Expansion of opportunities for self-employment, entrepreneurship, development of cooperatives and organization of their own business. G. Employment of persons with disabilities in the public sector. H. Encouraging the employment of persons with disabilities in the private sector through appropriate policies and measures, which may include affirmative action programs, incentives and other measures. I. Ensuring that persons with disabilities have a reasonable workplace. J. Encouraging persons with disabilities to gain work experience in an open labor market. K. Promotion of vocational and qualification rehabilitation, job retention and return to work programs for persons with disabilities. 2. States parties shall ensure that persons with disabilities are not held in slavery or servitude and are protected on an equal basis with others from forced or compulsory labor. Article 28. Adequate standard of living and social protection. 1. States parties recognize the right of persons with disabilities to an adequate standard of living for themselves and their families, including adequate food, clothing and housing, and to the continuous improvement of living conditions, and shall take appropriate measures to ensure and promote the realization of this right without discrimination on the basis of disability. 2. States parties recognize the right of persons with disabilities to social protection and to the enjoyment of this right without discrimination on the basis of disability and shall take appropriate measures to ensure and promote the realization of this right, including measures. A. To ensure equal access to clean water for persons with disabilities and to ensure access to appropriate and affordable services, devices and other assistance to meet disability-related needs. B. To ensure that persons with disabilities, in particular women, girls and older persons with disabilities, have access to social protection and poverty reduction programs. C. To ensure that persons with disabilities and their families living in poverty have access to state assistance to cover disability-related costs, including appropriate training, counseling, financial assistance and temporary foster care. D. To ensure access to public housing programs for persons with disabilities. E. To ensure access to pension benefits and programs for persons with disabilities. Article 29. Participation in political and public life. The participating states guarantee political rights and the opportunity for persons with disabilities to enjoy them on an equal basis with others and undertake. A. Ensure that persons with disabilities can participate effectively and fully, directly or through freely chosen representatives, in political and public life on an equal basis with others, including the right and opportunity to vote and be elected, in particular by I. Ensuring that voting procedures, facilities and materials are appropriate, accessible and easy to understand and use. E. Protecting the right of persons with disabilities to participate in secret voting in elections and public referendums without intimidation and to nominate their candidates for elections, to actually hold positions and perform all public functions at all levels of government with the assistance of the use of assistive and new technologies, where appropriate, i.e., guaranteeing the free expression of the will of persons with disabilities as voters and, to this end, satisfying, when necessary, their requests for assistance with voting by a person of their choice. B. Actively contribute to the creation of an environment in which persons with disabilities can participate effectively and comprehensively in the management of public affairs without discrimination and on an equal basis with others, and encourage their participation in public affairs, including I. Participation in non-governmental organizations and associations whose work is related to the state and political life of the country, including in activities of political parties and their leadership. E. Establishing and joining organizations of persons with disabilities to represent persons with disabilities at the international, national, regional and local levels.